Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. So someone was asking how to make this sort of thing where you can clone an object and it knows what number it is and kind of keep that around, and you keep playing and then you press circle, which tidies some logic up, and then you copy the whole thing, and then you can rewind, and these copies will always know what number they are, and there's no logic to run or anything, it all just works. So if you're looking here, there's no logic, there's just a number displayer with the correct number, and that's it, and you don't have to worry about anything at all. And if you wanted to, if you already had like 10 of these blocks and you want to continue from number 11, this is the next number, so the next one will be number 11, and 12 and 13, 14, and circle, and then copy and delete the old ones and rewind, and now we've got this is purely number 12, and that's all that's going on. So let's have a look at how to build that. Yeah, so the person actually used doors. So if I just find a door, that was the example they gave. So now I've got a door, and I'll just delete the logic because I don't really need any of it. And we'll have a number displayer on the door itself. So I'll get a number displayer and surface snap it to the door and make it in scene. And now I can just put it on the door like that. So we want this door, this number displayer, to know when it's to know what number it's meant to be and set that number. So I'll have a chip to hold that logic in here. You can kind of keep track of the number in different ways, but I'll just use a variable. So this is the next number, and we'll start it on 1 because that should be the next number, and I'll just display the next number so we can kind of track it. Okay, so in here we want to set this with a keyframe, the number with a keyframe. So if we have a timeline, and this will represent all the numbers that we can have, so the one on the left would set it to 0, and then the one on the right would set it to the maximum number. I chose 1000, and let's start with that one and end with that one, or let's just move that along further. It will help with precision a bit. And now with this L1 and X, you get the blend, and as you move along it, then it's getting those different numbers and displaying the integer down there. This is like right on the first frame of the timeline, like that, and that's at 0. And then if you look at this, come on. If we drag the playhead along to the end, now we're on 1000, but it's a bit big, so maybe we'll set it to 999. There we go. And we've got all the numbers between. The smoothing on keyframe is on by default, which can kind of mess with certain numbers, so if you just turn that off to be safe. Okay, so we can set that how far along the timeline it is with this. So at full it's on 999, on 0 it's on 0, and anywhere in between is somewhere in between. So like this is 0.3 of between 0 and 999, so that's 300. So we want to use this number. So this number will go up to 999. And we want to get that, so we use a variable modifier, and we can tweak that and use that name of next number with up and down on the D-pad. You can like type it in, or you can just cycle through the names, and this will get that value. And so this will be a number between 0 and 999, and we want to divide that by 999. Okay, and then wire that into there. This is producing a percentage of how far through it should be, and like at 1 it would be all the at the end, so it would be saying 999. So 999 divided by 999 is 1, and that's where you get why it would go to the end. But if we put 1 into 999, we're only going like 0.1% through or something, and that will get the same number here. So if we set this to a different number, like 21, now it's showing 21. 254, and it's 254, so that's working out fine. So we want to be able to destroy this logic so that it's not affecting the number displayer anymore, and so that it kind of ties itself up. So if we have a destroyer and we wire that into just the microchip over there, into the side of it like that, and it kind of goes into the side of the window, but it's got this like special nub on the side. That means that destroyer will destroy just that chip, and that chip isn't surface snapped or anything, so it won't destroy the whole thing. And now we want to trigger that at a particular point. So if we get a controller sensor in remote controllable mode, then we can just press buttons without having to possess like a puppet or something. And I use the the circle button, to power the destroyer. So now if I play time, it will set the number to the right thing, and then I press circle, and that gets rid of that stuff. Oh, we need to just set these to keep changes, so that even when these keyframes no longer exist and no longer affect anything, it still leaves the number displayer with the right number. So I press circle, and it keeps it. So if we use a different number, 23, and then press circle, it keeps the 23. But now if we rewind, it will go back to whatever the number was. So like, so it's got 23, and we press circle and pause. And if we set that to 0, then when we rewind, this will set itself to 0 again, because now it's getting the variable modifier number and all that kind of stuff. We don't want that stuff to work. So instead, let's set it to a different number again. So we play time and press circle to get rid of the stuff, and then pause it and copy this. Then this copy never had that logic in it. This copy has only ever had the number displayer, and that number displayer has only ever been 19. So if we rewind, there's nothing to rewind on that object. Whereas like this other object still pays attention to that because it's got this logic still. And this is just the number displayer, and that's all. And I call this effect baking in the change. So it kind of makes the effects of this logic permanent by making a clone of it after it's done its thing. So now how do we actually get it to increase when we clone it? Because at the moment, like we clone it and it's all just saying 0. So we want this variable to change every time a new one of these is made, basically. So we want some logic to run every time this object becomes a new object. Like when you make a new one, the logic in here should run again, or some of the logic should. And for that we can use a timeline. So if we get a timeline and just make it glow and then like fall off like that, so that's so it's shorter. So when we copy this, the timeline will run again effectively. So we can put some logic in here instead of just making it glow. So if we zoom in, we're going to make some very fine timing for this logic. Cool, so first, on the first frame, when we first make it, we want this stuff to work so it sets the number correctly. So let's have a microchip just on the first frame. These are like when you zoom in with L1 and right on the D-pad, then you eventually get to these columns, and these are individual logic frames. So like there's 30 frames of logic in a second. So making it one logic frame long makes it really fast. So let's just move that stuff into there. And then after that we want to have another modifier, add 1. So it sets itself up and then it adds 1 for the next number to be 1 higher. But at that point it's not paying attention to that number because it's gone past this. So this chip and logic won't be doing anything. Cool, so if I copy that, now it's 1, and that's 2, and that's 3. And then we can pause, and we need to press circle, and then pause, and then copy those, and then rewind, and these are still got the right numbers. And then there's no chip in here, there's just a number displayer. So it's got like self-numbering doors that you can just clone around the place. And if you want it to start on 1 instead of 0, put it on 1, and then we make clones of it. And press circle to get rid of the logic, and then copy it, and then we can delete the old ones. Let's just keep 1 nearby though. So now we have these 4 doors, and then if we want to continue from 5 up, we can just set this to start on 5. And then we can do the same thing. And I think multi-clone doesn't work because it needs to have a new instance sort itself out, and then a new instance sort itself out. So we'll just do one at a time. Okay, and then circle, and then select them all and copy them. And we can delete those and rewind. And now we've got 5 to 9. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.